Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be about my gaming history, and I want to do a tag, and I'm just going to tag it as my gaming history, and I'd love some other YouTubers to get involved, so I'm going to tag some other YouTubers and hopefully they'll make a video as well. And it can be talking about anything, just basically what shaped your gaming life. So maybe you played loads when you were younger, didn't play for like 10 years, and then maybe bought a Switch or bought the new PlayStation, and that's really got you back into gaming. Or a certain game came out and it's really drawn you back in. But maybe you played Pokemon when you were younger and you've just followed the series and you just love Pokemon and that's all you play. Or maybe one of your siblings used to let you play on GoldenEye or Mario Kart or something like that, and that's how you got into gaming. I'd just love to know what games really shaped your gaming life. So let's take a look at what shaped my gaming life, and let's have a look at my gaming history. First up then, I've got to talk about Pokemon Yellow. It is the first game that was actually just mine. I didn't have to share it with my brother or anything. It's the first game that was just mine. I can still remember, obviously, that first loading screen, hitting new game, seeing Pikachu pop up. Yeah, just fantastic. Obviously, my first RPG that I ever played as well. And I played it all on my original big fat yellow Game Boy. So lots and lots of hours went into this game. I've always been searching for that same feeling I got when I first played this, and I've played all the Pokemon, but I think the closest I've ever come to that same feeling I got when I first played Pokemon Yellow is Arceus. I don't know why. I think it was just because it was a completely new game. They'd kind of turned the whole Pokemon thing on its head, and it just brought me back to that feeling of Pokemon Yellow when I first started playing that. And I think with nostalgia you kind of look at things in a different way, but I still think Pokemon Yellow is one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. Although that is probably a little bit of nostalgia speaking as well. Which was the first Pokemon game that brought you into the series, or maybe do you just play or collect Pokemon cards, or maybe you don't do anything other than play some of the Pokemon games? But which game kind of brought you into the series? My first real experience with a Mario game was 6 Golden Coins, and I still go back to it a lot to this day. One of my favourite Mario games. Mario to me is always going to be a 2D platformer. I do love the stuff on the DS, and I guess I do love all those games on the Switch as well. But for me, this kind of is probably the ultimate Mario game, and I would love to see this done in that kind of 2.5D style that we had on the DS and the 3DS games. I would absolutely love to see that. So, Diddy Kong Racing then. I don't know why we never had Mario Kart on the N64. My first Mario Kart experience was Double Dash, but I've been back and obviously played Mario Kart 64. Diddy Kong Racing is far superior. Everything about Diddy Kong Racing is so much better than Mario Kart. So I'm so glad that we had this instead. My brother would have picked it because I was a lot younger than him. But hours and hours spent on battle mode on Icicle Pyramid, just skidding round and round, trying to get those homing missiles. Just such a brilliant game. If you go on YouTube, you can actually look at the sequel that was cancelled, where you actually rode around on animals rather than carts, if you want to check that out. GoldenEye then. I think this will be on a lot of people's gaming history lists. I don't think I'd ever played a shooting game before this. I'm trying to think of anything I might have played on the Super Nintendo. Starwing, but that's kind of aircrafts and stuff like that. No, I don't think I'd ever played a shooter. So this is kind of my first experience at a first-person shooter. And then obviously I found out much later on, only recently actually, that they weren't going to include the multiplayer. It was just going to be single player. So I am so happy that they included the multiplayer. I don't know if you did the same thing, but just proximity mines and just throwing proximity mines everywhere. And basically the screen would just go completely blurry so you couldn't see anything. But yeah, so much nostalgia for this game. And basically this game started off the whole future of probably my gaming life and brought me to one of the greatest, if not the greatest franchises ever, which I will talk about later on in the video. We then come on to Perfect Dark. Obviously it was made by Rare, but towards the end of the creation of Perfect Dark, a lot of the team had actually left before the game was released. And it was one of those games, in order to get the most out of it, you could still play it without, but to get the most out of it, you needed the expansion pack. And I'd say the graphics did improve from GoldenEye to Perfect Dark, but it was the multiplayer that improved the most. We obviously got the up to 8 bots, and I think it's the first time on a console, so probably had this on PCs, but the first time on consoles that we had bots, so you could have multiplayer without actually having split screen. Which did you prefer then? Did you just prefer GoldenEye, or did you also play Perfect Dark as well? Because I think out of the two, I definitely preferred Perfect Dark. I talked about it earlier then, the greatest franchise of all time, Time Splitters. In particular, I loved all 3 games, but Time Splitters 2 was by far the best of the 3. And the Time Splitters series, it took everything that they learned from GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, and then the first Time Splitters, and created Time Splitters 2. It was just fantastic. The challenges were so fun. The whole story was just really fun. The gameplay was just so good. I liked all the jokes. I liked that it didn't take itself too serious. Particularly the multiplayer. The bots and things like that. You had all of the art style and the characters. Just everything about it was just perfect for me. And it's hard to look at other games and not wish that they were like Time Splitters 2. The crazy thing about this is the studio, Dambusters, is actually just down the road from me, and they are obviously in development of the new Time Splitters game with some of the old people that made the originals from Rare. So it's super exciting to think that they're literally just down the road making this game at the moment, and I'm really looking forward to see how the remake turns out, or how the new game turns out. So obviously as I kind of grew up, I carried on gaming, but I guess I wasn't gaming as much as I did when I was kind of a young kid, early teenager. But then I started to kind of get back into it with the Wii U, and I actually really enjoyed the Wii U as a console. It had its faults, but there's actually a lot of positives about it. But then it was Breath of the Wild, the game that kind of really brought me back into gaming and made me just fall in love with gaming all over again. Just like the first time I played Pokemon Yellow was Breath of the Wild. Just something so incredible about that game that we'd never experienced before from the Zelda series. This new console that you could play on the TV and in handheld mode. It was just fantastic. So Breath of the Wild just really brought me back into gaming. So I'm very thankful for Nintendo for the Switch, and also for everything they did to develop the Zelda series with Breath of the Wild. that's it then from me. So obviously kind of a look into some of my gaming history, lots of nostalgia there for me. So obviously I'm going to tag lots of people down below, so hopefully they'll make a video, use the tag my gaming history, and hopefully we can watch each other's videos and kind of check out how we got into gaming and a little bit about our gaming history. Thanks a lot for watching. If you're new, obviously hit subscribe, leave a comment. Thanks a lot guys, take care.